Go ahead and find our task for today by clicking on Activities, Assign to Class folder, Red, ELA, and our task is called Weather Patterns in the Desert Region. Please open your task and be ready to work together. I see lots of screens that are on our task, ready to go. Great job being focused on your directions and following them immediately. Today, boys and girls, our task is going to start by working in a breakout room, and we're going to be reading about the desert climate. Specifically, we're going to be learning more about what type of weather patterns do we see in a desert climate. So slide number 1 gives us some directions of what we're going to do in our breakout room. Number 1, read the questions and texts on slides 2 through 7. In our breakout room, we're going to be working on slides 2 through 7. You will answer the questions in a complete sentence using evidence from the text. We are using evidence from the text to help us answer questions. Number 3, you need to highlight your evidence. When you find an answer, you're going to highlight your evidence in the text. So let's take a peek at what these pages look like, 2 through 7. On slide number 2, I see a text with some awesome text features about the desert climate. You will read slide number 2 and then go to slide number 3. Slide number 3 has another text that you need to read, and I notice a question that you're going to answer. Right here is a question. You're going to type your answer into the box. So we're going to begin with these 2 pages. 2 and 3, we're going to work together in our breakout room. And your goal is to read the texts and type your answer to the question right here. We're going to go into a breakout room. Give me just a minute to assign you to a breakout room where you can work together. On slide number 3, we have a question, and we're looking for text evidence. It says the biggest changes in the desert weather come with day and night, not with seasons. I'm thinking about how that's different than a temperate region. We do have 4 different seasons. The desert does not. Their changes happen between daytime and nighttime. Here's our question. Why is there such a difference between daytime and nighttime weather? Why is there such a difference between daytime and nighttime weather? Okay, so using my text, I need to look in my text for an answer or text evidence. I notice on page number 3, we have a text that talks about this question. I notice that it says temperatures in deserts at night cool down quickly because, after because, they're going to give a reason. The air is so dry, it doesn't hold in heat. Okay, so what we're learning is that during the day, it can be very hot, but at nighttime, the temperature is cool because the air is so dry. We're going to type in our answer using our type tool. The air is so dry it does not hold heat. This explains how in the desert and the daytime it can be really hot, but then at nighttime the air is so dry it starts to get really cold. And we have talked about how deserts can be places that are very cold. I noticed some text features that help me. I noticed these pictures here of thermometers. Thermometers are the tools that scientists use to read how hot or cold something is. So during the day when the sun is out, I notice that the thermometer is higher. It is very hot in the day. But then at nighttime, when it is dark outside, I notice the thermometer is going down. That means it's getting colder. Text features help the reader. I notice that these are helping me understand this text today. Your job right now is to make sure that you have a complete sentence typed that answers your question. Go ahead and check now that you have an answer recorded for slide number 3. Let's click on slide number 4, please. Slide number 4 is your next task in your breakout room. I notice a new text to read with some amazing text features. And there is a question at the top. In your breakout room, I want you to read this text, take a look at our cool text features, read the question, and start looking for your evidence. Our question says, what happens to desert vegetation in the spring? Your task is to work on slide 4 with your group. Our question on slide number 4 says, what happens to desert vegetation in the spring? I noticed some clue words that I want to look for as I study my text. I want to know what happens to desert vegetation. Remember, vegetation is the same thing as plants. What happens to plants in the desert in the springtime? This is a really important key word to look for in the text. Were there any third graders who found what happens to vegetation or plants in the spring? Any third graders want to share out what text evidence they found reading the text on slide number 4? Day, go ahead.
When spring comes, the desert flowers and cactus blooms.
Wow, so Day is using his text evidence. He's reading the text again. And we can highlight our evidence just like this. When spring comes to the desert, there's that key word. I'm so glad Day was looking for these key words. When spring comes to the desert, flowers and cacti bloom. So again, we can use our text features. Text features help the reader understand what the text is talking about. So in the spring, I notice in the picture here, in the photograph, these are some examples of cacti or cactus. Let's go ahead and type our answer together now that Day has shared out the answer from the text. Flowers and cacti bloom in the spring. Don't forget, when we write a complete sentence, it's good to use words from the question. If the question asks what happens in spring, you can say in spring in your answer. Flowers and cacti bloom in the spring. We have used text evidence to answer this question together. Check that you have your sentence recorded on slide number 4, please. All right, boys and girls, it's time for us to talk about your independent work for today. Because of some issues with Zoom, we did not have time for everything, and that's okay. We can be flexible. Today, I want you to finish slides number 5, number 6, and slide number 7. Those 3 slides, number 5, 6, and 7, will be your task today. You do not need to continue on past number 7, even though there are slides. If you want to, you can put a red X on them, showing that we are not going to do the slides after number 7. If you would like to do those slides, you may, but they are optional because we did not have time together. Your task that I will be checking on is number 5, number 6, and number 7 only. Necesitan hacer 5, 6, y 7 solamente. When you are finished answering your questions using text evidence like we practiced together, you can turn it in with a green check mark to show me your knowledge. Don't forget to highlight your evidence like we practiced and write a complete sentence.